Big win, boys. 107-98. Just finding a way to win. It wasn't easy. This Magic were physical the whole game. It came down to the wire, but the Celtics took advantage of Orlando's lack of shooting and just, experience to close it out for a big 3-1 lead heading back to Boston to close it out Tuesday. What's up, everyone, and welcome in to your Celtic Source, home of your 3-1 Boston Celtics. You know, Obviously, Jayson Tatum with a huge night, 37 points, just unbelievable rebounding ball, which he always brings, whether he's, shooting well or not. He's always going to bring the rebounding in big games, which makes, him special because, there aren't a lot of guys that, basically have those scoring numbers and then can provide something else when the scoring's not going their way. But obviously, it was going his way tonight. 37 points, plays 42 minutes, was a team high 42 minutes. Was actually a game high 42 minutes with Paul Banchero and Franz Wagner each putting in 40. But the key to this game was the turnovers and the free throw attempts, which I'll talk about in a second. But the turnovers, right? I think they had 21 turnovers in that game 3 loss. And in this game, just 10 turnovers as a team. And I think 7 of those came in that second quarter when Orlando sort of, you know, made a little bit of a run, but it actually didn't matter because the Celtics had a 4-point lead going into halftime. So just a great job in the final moments of the game, down the stretch, not committing turnovers. I think there was a couple of shot clock turnovers. I think there's one on Derek White, but overall, just a great, you know, basically win by committee down the stretch. It wasn't one guy going off, and quite frankly, the Celtics continue to struggle on offense, as expected, with the Magic being the second best defensive team in the league. Um, and the Celtics, right? They only make, I believe, 9 threes, 9 of 31, just 29%, right? 31 attempts, which is down like 20 from their, even like 25 from their season average. And I think it'll go back up next series. It's just that's the way the Magic play. And so, the Celtics have to find a different way to do it, and that would involve getting into the paint. You know, Kristaps Porzingis, for the first time in this whole series, they found a way to get him going inside the paint, shooting over the top of mismatches. He made his first 2 threes of the series tonight. You know who else made their first threes of the series tonight as well? Sam Hauser. Plays 18 minutes, which I think might be, I don't know if it's a series high in minutes, but he makes 2 quick threes. You don't see much of him doing anything else, but he wasn't, a liability on the court. That's to say. I mean, he was better than what Payton Pritchard was doing. Payton Pritchard put up a donut for pretty much the second consecutive game. I think he had 3 points in game two, in three. But as for Payton Pritchard, he was not very productive in this one. Just 0 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound, plays 26 minutes. Right? The Celtics, the first 2 games at home, he was fantastic. He put up like 16 points and 18 points in those 2 games. And then here in Orlando, basically the Magic defense has, made Payton Pritchard a key point of the Celtics offense and, stopping that offense, right? I think their coach Mosley identified him in a interview the other day, saying, Payton Pritchard is basically the X factor for that team, which is true, right? Because the Magic don't have anybody on the bench that is going to put up any numbers close to Payton Pritchard. So like if they can stop Payton Pritchard, they can just even out that bench, and make it more of a starters game. And especially because Franz Wagner and Paul Banchero are playing a lot more minutes than the Celtics are, their starters. Maybe you can get a couple more points there when starters on the bench. That's really their only way to, um, you know, win games, which we saw yesterday, or sorry, on Friday. But as for the closing stretch, um, Peyton Pritchard and Al Horford actually made this win possible. I think. Um, I'll talk about Al Horford in just a second, right? Peyton Pritchard, right? Obviously, he didn't have great scoring numbers, and obviously he has to play because Drew Holiday's out. I think with the way Pritchard's been playing offensively, you would have Holiday in there just for the defense. But you have a game like this where Peyton Pritchard was just fantastic on the defensive end. And that doesn't include, offensive rebounds and crashing the boards on that on the other end of the floor. But on the defensive end, he was able in like the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game to stay in front of Paolo Banchero and make it really difficult for him to get any clean shots off. And he was Paolo Banchero obviously is still going to get his numbers, right? He has 31 points. Franz has 24 as well. But the two of them, right? The harder you can make it, there is really nobody else on this team that is scoring, right? It's the third game that the Magic are under 100 points. Nine, or maybe they were under 100 points last game, so I can't remember the score, but just right. Magic just don't have the offense, and they play so slow. The Celtics play slow too, but I think the Magic made it an emphasis to try and play as slow as possible. Although, which is not a great strategy, given that the only way they're really going to score points is in quick transition baskets. But they played slow. Right, there was only like 85 possessions this game, which is like 15 possessions lower than all the other series going around the league. But Paul Banchero, Peyton Pritchard, what he was able to do, get into Paul Banchero's hands, make it harder for him to take shots, had to force him to kick it out, and some guys started making threes for like the first time this series, which hurt the Celtics down the stretch. They could have had a bigger lead, but eventually it came down to what Al Horford was doing all night long. You know, he's his scoring is going to be here and there when you need him, right? He knocks down or he misses all of his threes, 0 for 3, 2 for 7 overall, but 5 blocks and some huge blocks down the stretch. I think 3 of those were in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game. He blocked one on Franz, he blocked one on Paulo. I forget the other guy he blocked it on. But just when the Celtics offense was going cold, you can always count on Al Horford to, keep them in a game by mucking it up on the defensive end. That's one of the reasons why, Al Horford, even at age 45 or whatever he is at this age, 39, I believe he is. But just, you know, slowing down an already poor offensive team. And, even if the Celtics offense was ice cold, you could count on the Magic offense being even colder. And that's basically what won this game for them. I mean, when you talk about, right, like the shooting, right, 29% from three, 43% in general on field goals for the Celtics. So just poor shooting again. But the Magic, 43%, just under the Celtics, and then 26% from three. So just ice cold. And that's basically why the Celtics won this game, because, you know, you got nothing from your bench. The Magic get nothing from their bench. Actually, Anthony Black had a bench high 10 points in 18 minutes. But but he just, 0 for 3 as well from him. I think just one guy made a three off the bench. No, nobody made a three off the bench for the Magic, whereas the Celtics had 2 from Sam Hauser. And so that's basically 6 points right there on threes. And then what I was going to talk about is the free throws, right? The 30 for 32 on free throws for the Celtics, and the 14 for 20 from three. So Celtics missed just 2 free throws, and they take 12 more free throws than the Magic do. Finally, finding a way to get fouls called on them, even when it's been a physical game with nothing getting called. So I think that's what won the game ultimately, right? The Celtics getting to the line and making those free throw shots, even though they couldn't get normal shots to fall. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Follow on social media. We will be back, obviously, after Game 5 on Tuesday. Hopefully, the Celtics can close it out. In the meantime, we will have highlights, other clips on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So make sure to follow me there. And until next time, go Celtics.
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured.